The 5 foods doctors call healthy that are secretly destroying your metabolism. Your doctor told you to eat more fruit. Your nutritionist recommended whole grain bread. The label on your yogurt says low fat, and you believed it. The sports drink sitting in your refrigerator right now has electrolytes, and you were told that means it is good for you. And the granola bar in your desk drawer has been marketed as a health food since before you can remember. What if every single one of those foods is doing the opposite of what you were told? Not in a vague, eat less processed food way, in a specific, documented, biochemical way that is directly interfering with the hormonal machinery your body uses to regulate fat storage, metabolic rate, and energy production. The health food industry is worth over $1 trillion globally, and a significant portion of that valuation is built on a lie that is costing you your metabolic health. The foods I'm about to show you are not just unhealthy in the way that a piece of cake is unhealthy. They are specifically anti-metabolic, meaning they actively disrupt the biological systems your body uses to burn fat, maintain muscle, and regulate energy. Some of them spike insulin harder than table sugar. Some of them shut down fat oxidation for 6 hours after a single serving. Some of them carry a compound that your liver converts directly into stored belly fat, and your doctor is still recommending them. Not out of malice, out of information that is 30 years out of date. Food number 1, fruit juice. Not soda, not energy drinks, fruit juice. The kind sold in health food stores, recommended by pediatricians, and consumed by millions of people every morning as part of what they genuinely believe is a healthy breakfast routine. Here is the biological reality. Orange juice, apple juice, grape juice, and virtually every commercially produced fruit juice contains fructose concentrations that are significantly higher per serving than the equivalent whole fruit, because the fiber has been removed and the liquid is more calorie-dense by volume. A standard 12-ounce glass of orange juice contains approximately 36 grams of sugar, the majority of which is fructose. The same amount of whole oranges would contain approximately 18 grams of sugar and would take significantly longer to consume and digest, with the fiber slowing absorption dramatically. Fructose is not metabolized like glucose. Every cell in your body can burn glucose for energy. Fructose can only be processed by your liver. When fructose arrives at the liver in large quantities, as it does when you drink a glass of juice first thing in the morning, the liver converts the excess directly into fat through a process called de novo lipogenesis. This hepatic fat production is the primary mechanism by which non-alcoholic fatty liver disease develops, and it is the same mechanism that generates the visceral fat accumulation we discussed in our video on post-40 fat storage. A 2009 study in the Journal of Clinical Investigation found that a diet high in fructose-sweetened beverages for just 10 weeks produced significant increases in visceral fat, hepatic fat, and de novo lipogenesis rates compared to a diet matched in total calories but with glucose rather than fructose. The fructose was not simply adding calories. It was specifically driving fat into the organs. The metabolic consequence does not stop with fat production. A 2012 study from the University of California, Los Angeles found that high fructose intake for 6 weeks significantly impaired insulin signaling in the brain, reducing the sensitivity of hypothalamic neurons to insulin and leptin, the 2 hormones most responsible for appetite regulation and metabolic rate maintenance. The fruit juice is not just making you store fat. It is impairing the brain's ability to regulate how much you eat and how fast your metabolism runs. What to do instead? Eat the whole fruit. The fiber matrix of whole fruit slows fructose absorption, reduces the hepatic fructose load, and provides prebiotic fiber that supports the gut microbiome. If you want the vitamin C, eat an orange. The juice is not a health food. It is a sugar delivery system with a vitamin sprinkled in. Food number 2, Low-fat flavored yogurt. Low-fat yogurt became a health food staple in the 1980 seconds when dietary fat was declared the primary driver of cardiovascular disease. That hypothesis has since been substantially revised, but the products it spawned are still on every shelf, still recommended by doctors, and still consumed by millions who believe they are making a healthy choice. When manufacturers remove fat from yogurt, they face a palatability problem. Fat carries flavor, texture, and satiety. Without it, the product tastes thin and sour. The food industry's solution was sugar. Typically 20 to 30 grams of added sugar per serving, often in the form of high fructose corn syrup or fruit concentrate. Some popular brands of flavored low-fat yogurt contain more sugar per serving than a chocolate chip cookie. Fat removal creates a second metabolic problem. Full-fat dairy contains a specific fatty acid called conjugated linoleic acid, CLA, with documented anti-obesity effects. CLA has been shown in multiple studies to reduce body fat accumulation, increase lean muscle mass, and improve insulin sensitivity. When fat is removed to make low-fat yogurt, the CLA goes with it. You are removing the biologically active component that makes dairy metabolically beneficial and replacing it with the ingredient most likely to produce fat accumulation and insulin resistance. A 2016 meta-analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, reviewing 29 studies, found that full-fat dairy was associated with lower obesity risk compared to low-fat dairy, attributed partly to CLA content and partly to greater satiety, which reduces total caloric intake at subsequent meals. What to do instead? Eat full-fat plain Greek yogurt with no added sugar. Higher protein, higher CLA, minimal sugar. Add whole fruit if you want sweetness. The fat is not the problem. The sugar and the removal of beneficial fatty acids are the problem. Food number 3. Whole grain bread. Whole grain bread is the most entrenched health food mythology of the last 50 years. The fiber, the B vitamins, the complex carbohydrates, everything about its marketing positions it as the virtuous alternative to white bread. The research supports that it is marginally better than white bread in certain contexts. But marginally better than white bread is a very low bar. A standard slice of whole wheat bread has a glycemic index of approximately 71. White bread sits at approximately 75. Table sugar has a glycemic index of 65. Whole wheat bread raises blood glucose faster than table sugar. The fiber in whole grain bread, while present, is insufficient to meaningfully slow the glucose spike from the processed starch that constitutes the majority of the product. A 2017 study in Cell Metabolism conducted a crossover trial in which 20 participants consumed whole grain sourdough bread or processed white bread for 1 week each. The researchers found no significant difference in any clinical marker, blood glucose, microbiome composition, fat absorption, cholesterol, or liver enzymes between the two diets. Individual variability in glycemic response was so large that some participants responded better to white bread than whole grain. The insulin response to 2 slices of whole wheat bread at breakfast suppresses fat oxidation, the burning of stored fat for fuel, for approximately 4 to 6 hours. For anyone using fasting or time-restricted eating as a metabolic strategy, breaking the fast with whole grain bread eliminates the fat-burning benefit of the fasting window entirely. What to do instead? Choose long-fermented sourdough with whole grain flour. Fermentation reduces the glycemic index significantly. Or replace bread with eggs, avocado, or vegetables at breakfast. The fiber you actually need comes from vegetables and legumes, not from processed grain products. Food number 4. Sports drinks. Sports drinks were developed in the 1960 seconds for elite athletes performing sustained high-intensity exercise for 90 minutes or more. The electrolytes replace sweat losses. The carbohydrates fuel performance at intensities where carbohydrate is the dominant fuel. For that specific population, in that specific context, they are physiologically appropriate. For everyone else, for the person going to a 45-minute spin class, for the person doing a 30-minute jog, for the person who drinks one at their desk because they are slightly thirsty, they are sugar water with a performance marketing budget. A standard 20-ounce sports drink contains approximately 34 grams of sugar, primarily glucose and sucrose, designed for rapid bloodstream absorption. That same rapid absorption that helps marathon runners destroys fat oxidation for 3 to 5 hours in anyone not performing at elite endurance intensity. The electrolytes, sodium and potassium, are present in amounts so small relative to normal dietary intake that they provide no meaningful benefit for the vast majority of users. A 2012 analysis in the British Medical Journal examined the evidence behind sports drink marketing claims and found that the majority were based on manufacturer-funded studies conducted on elite athletes in conditions bearing no resemblance to typical recreational exercise. Evidence for benefit in the general exercising population was essentially absent. What to do instead? For exercise under 60 minutes at moderate intensity, water is superior. For longer sessions, add a small amount of sea salt and a squeeze of lemon to water. The electrolyte content is comparable without the 34 grams of rapidly absorbed sugar. Food number 5, granola and granola bars. Granola has been positioned as a health food since the natural food movement of the 1970 seconds. Oats, nuts, seeds, dried fruit, all individually nutritious. Combined into granola and compressed into a bar, they become one of the most metabolically problematic foods in the health food aisle. A standard half-cup serving of commercial granola contains 200 to 300 calories, 20 to 40 grams of carbohydrates, and 8 to 15 grams of added sugar from honey, maple syrup, or brown rice syrup. The oats are rolled and processed, dramatically increasing their glycemic index compared to whole oat groats. The dried fruit contributes concentrated fructose, and the serving size on the packaging bears no resemblance to what most people actually pour. The fat content comes primarily from vegetable oils, canola, sunflower, safflower, used in roasting. These oils are high in omega-6 linoleic acid, which in excess displaces omega-3 fatty acids from cell membranes, promotes inflammation, and interferes with fat oxidation. A 2021 review in Nutrients found that elevated dietary linoleic acid from processed vegetable oils was independently associated with increased adiposity and metabolic inflammation. The granola bar format compounds the problem. Sugar syrups bind the ingredients, adding more sugar while compressing calorie-dense ingredients into a format consumed rapidly with no meaningful satiety. What to do instead? Eat steel-cut or rolled oats cooked in water with no added sugar. The intact structure provides far more fiber and a dramatically lower glycemic index than granola. For a portable snack, raw almonds and a hard-boiled egg provide more protein, more healthy fat, more satiety, and zero added sugar. Here is what connects all 5 of these foods and why your doctor is still recommending them. Nutritional guidelines are built on consensus formed over decades, funded largely by food industry interests, and updated on cycles that lag the actual science by 10 to 20 years. The low-fat hypothesis that gave us low-fat yogurt has been substantially overturned. The fiber hypothesis that gave us whole grain bread has been revised. The sports drink evidence base has been exposed as industry-funded marketing. The fruit juice recommendation has been contradicted by 30 years of fructose metabolism research. Your body does not care what the label says. It responds to the chemistry. Fructose goes to the liver regardless of whether the package says natural. Insulin spikes from processed grain regardless of whether the grain is whole. Vegetable oil oxidizes in cell membranes regardless of whether the product has a green leaf on the packaging. The most metabolically protective diet is one built around foods your liver, your fat cells, your muscle cells, and your hormonal signaling systems can recognize and process efficiently. Whole fruit instead of juice. Full-fat plain dairy instead of low-fat flavored. Vegetables and legumes for fiber instead of processed grain. Water instead of sugar-spiked beverages. Real food that requires actual chewing and digestion instead of engineered products designed to override satiety. Your metabolism is not broken. It is responding exactly as biology predicts to the inputs it is receiving. Change the inputs, and the system changes with them. What is the one so-called health food you have been eating for years that you now suspect has been working against you? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Subscribe to the channel because next week we are going deeper into the specific breakfast choices the research shows produce the most damaging metabolic effects and the replacements that take less time and cost less money. And I will see you there.